So I've used a lot of math and spreadsheets over my videos to really highlight why efficient leveling is a waste of time, and more importantly, that the leveling system is not broken or problematic. So in fact, the only reason that I think this section in the UESP exists is because people believe there's a problem with the leveling system in Oblivion is because the game is more difficult than Skyrim or Morrowind. And YouTubers and other online commentators, we're going to talk a lot about Patrician TV today. They make this claim that the challenge in Oblivion makes it bad because the leveling system is broken. And while simultaneously a lot of them, maybe not necessarily this guy, but they'll deep throat games like Dark Souls or Elden Ring for their punishing difficulty, and they'll glaze those games. Now, I don't want to sound like I'm whining about hypocrisy. I don't care. If you don't like Oblivion for any reason, whatever, that's valid. And if you love Dark Souls and Morrowind and you hate Oblivion, great, doesn't matter. But I do want to correct the record because this guy in this 12-hour video gets a ton of things incorrect. And yeah, so I'm just going to try and tear it apart. Now, the thesis of my video, Oblivion is not broken, and I think the leveling system is great, and it's actually a huge part of what makes the game fun. So that's really what we're going to dive into. To sum up this image here on Patrician TV's video, is he's basically saying there are only 4 possible options to become strong enough to beat the game and to deal with the leveling problem. And those options are to ignore leveling, to do minimal leveling, to not level at all, or to cheat, like to use console commands. So those are the 4 options. And now everyone draws a different line for cheating, but when I say cheating, I'm talking about console command, dupe glitches, or other exploits that are game breaking. And that's, I think, what he's referring to as well. I'm not necessarily referring to like grabbing poison apples from Fort Farragut. It's not cheating. Okay, so why is this wrong? Well, if you watch any of my gameplay videos or streams, I don't efficiently level. And like on any of my characters, I just goof off, I play, I have fun. Sure, I pay attention to the game systems, I try to do a lot of damage, but I don't do anything over the top like 100% chameleon, draining my fatigue to 1, or draining even my attributes at all. So I want to show you on my level 27 character here. Here, let's make sure it looks okay. This is Jiggleegg. He is the toughest enemy in the game. And I want you to watch. So I'm using a 2-handed weapon. I do a power attack. You see his health go down. Doesn't have enough charge in that item even. A power attack. And I miss with my 3rd attack and my summon there. That Golden Saint finishes him off. So I basically would have 3-shot the final boss in the game, the most difficult enemy. And my character is level 27 here. So, according to these people, I must have min-maxed a ton. I must have done efficient leveling. If you look at this leveling problem, it says it is possible to play at high levels and have your character become stronger. To accomplish this, it is necessary to take maximum advantage of every bonus that is available to your character when you level up. In general, this requires careful planning. I'll show you later. In this guy's video, he talks about needing a spreadsheet, about how he unequips his armor to go through, about how he built his entire build around doing efficient leveling. Now, let's take a look at those screenshots. These are screenshots of my level ups. Should we do a slideshow? So I'm missing a few levels, and I'll talk about that in my spreadsheet. But if you look here, at the beginning, I do actually have some +5s, a few of them. Because at the beginning of the game, if you have a skill at level 5, it's actually very easy to level it up. It's not difficult to get +5s at the beginning of the game. However, after I have my strength and endurance at 100, you'll notice some of my levels are +2, +2, +2, +2, +2, +2, +2, +2, +1, which is like no effort whatsoever. So really only at the beginning did I even put effort into my level ups. And it's not like they were super efficiently leveled. Look at my level 5, +2, +3, +3. These are the ending ones. My last 2, I couldn't find a screenshot for 26. I was getting really sick of scrolling through my streams. But you get the idea. I'm not getting huge +5 bonuses. You know that. I know that. We all know that. So, of course, I had to put it in a spreadsheet. So these are how many total attributes, attribute gains, attribute increases I had on each level up. So at level 2, I had 11 attribute gains because for level 2, I had +5, +3, +3. The maximum is 15. That's if you get 3 + 5. So if you're watching this video, I'm assuming you've played Oblivion before. If not, watch all my other videos. I don't know what else to say. I go over the leveling system in a lot of detail, so does Patrician TV. It'd be very strange if you were here and you didn't know the basics of the leveling system. But whatever. The maximum you can gain is 15. So as you can see on a lot of these levels, even at the beginning, I'm nowhere near 15. This X means I didn't have a screenshot. I just did the math and found out how much I gained. Like I looked at the previous screenshots. Here's where I got my endurance and strength to 100, so I didn't really care after that. Every now and then I'll get a good boost to intelligence because it's very easy. So my average increase per level was only +8. That's less than doing 3 plus 3s, which is very easy to do with moderate effort. You know, early on, I was using trainers. I watched the guys punching in the arena to get my free +5 hand-to-hand. It made it easy to get to 100 strength and endurance very early on. It does not require you, this game, to become crazy powerful to min-max. It does not require efficient leveling. And I have a lot of videos with Grandpa here. There's a lot of combat that he gets in. And if you watch any of them, this is not a weak character. I don't want to scroll through my whole stream because it's just not fun. But you can watch any of my old streams. If you watched any of my videos, this is a very powerful character. And later on in this video, we're going to compare that to PatricianTV and how his character is doing in Oblivion. Now, before I show you how weak his character actually is and how it plays compared to Grandpa, and maybe I could show you more of my character being powerful too, but I really want to focus on PatricianTV here. I want to highlight all the effort he puts into min-maxing. So let's listen to him talk for a minute.
And so we come to the third and most difficult solution to the Oblivion leveling problem. The solution I chose, min-maxing.
I'm listening on 2x speed. Sorry, it's a long video. He said min-maxing. He's using min-maxing. Those were his words.
Min-maxing Elder Scrolls is nothing new to me. I've done it plenty of times in Morrowind. But Oblivion is a whole other beast. I don't say this lightly or ironically. I think Oblivion is actually kind of evil. Not a malicious, intentional kind of evil, but evil nonetheless. So, min-maxing. It's where we get back to the build I showed earlier as my character and explains why it's such an awful build. Magic specialization. Fine. Endurance and luck is an interesting choice, but mysticism, alteration, speechcraft, marksman, light armor, blunt, and heavy armor? That's a pretty terrible class. The first rule of min-maxing in Oblivion is to throw away the notion that the abilities you plan to use are in your class. For the early game I was...
Yeah, that's what he thinks. It's kind of embarrassing.
Intent on using heavy armor, hand-to-hand, and conjuration. I find that to be a fun combination, yet only one of those skills is in the major spec category. Heavy armor is a skill which falls under the endurance attribute. This is important because heavy armor is effectively being used to control the rate at which I level. It being the only skill I primarily train means I can regulate when I level, allowing me to maximize each attribute allocation.
Okay, that's enough of that. So what he's doing, it's what he said he's doing, is he is going to only use heavy armor. That's the only major skill of his that he's going to use for his build. And he's calling this min-maxing. Now, I don't know about you, when I think of min-maxing, I think of making the most powerful, effective character. Like really going out of your way to play the meta. And when I played World of Warcraft, when I min-maxed, I would pre-pot and use a potion before a boss. I would use weak auras to keep track of everything for me so I could just focus on my rotation. So I would never make a mistake. The min-maxers even made sure I have every buff in this group. I have everything is in place. The position of the boss has to be perfect. Everything has to be perfect for me to do the maximum amount of damage to minimize the damage we take. That's what min-maxing is. Now, he seems to think it's something different. I don't know what, but min-maxing is creating the most powerful character. And he really thinks that's what he's doing. I really have to hammer home that he is not min-maxing. So let's watch together how long he takes to kill a Khajiit bandit. Now, he might be using his fists, so you think, oh, well, his fists aren't very good. But that's part of his build. He uses his fists to guarantee that he can get +5 strength at every level up. And blunt is his only major skill out of the 3 weapons. And so it's not like blade is a major skill either. And throughout this whole 12-hour video, I've only watched the first 6 hours, and I got bored. I gave up. You really rarely see him using blunt. There's pretty much only fists or blade, and here he goes. He's going to use his blunt. This is his major skill. It's not like it's doing any damage either, because he probably has a low blunt skill. But this is a weak character. He's really struggling against a regular outdoor bandit. It is ridiculous. Now, let's keep going. Let's close that one. This is him in the Mage's Guild. Look at how much damage he's dealing to that Wraith. Look at how much damage the Wraith is dealing to him. He's not dodging. I don't know why he's not dodging. So you're going to notice something here. He's got a massive stash of potions. Tons of restore health potions. Tons of restore magica potions. Though their magnitude isn't very high. You would think if he had made that many potions, their magnitude would be a lot higher because he'd have a lot higher alchemy skill. Well, this is agonizing to watch. Honestly. So we're going to compare these to my two characters. Now, you might think I'm cherry picking here, but you can watch this video yourself. This is a public video. Let's go to, this is my warrior. This is Grandpa earlier, in an earlier video, just fighting some Daedra. Now, that's with charge in my weapon, so they're dying pretty quick. They wouldn't die that quick when I have no souls, but I use Azur's Star. I get more charge in my weapon with this character. So, oh, it's going to take forever to load. We don't really need to watch Grandpa killing things, but this is fine. You know, sure, I get staggered from time to time. This is not a problem. Things die plenty fast. Next, I have my mage. My mage, I put this on 2x speed because it's just getting boring. But I'm two-shotting all these things with target spells. I don't even have to use touch spells. That's a full clean fear. I'm not seeing higher level mobs because I'm not even that high level yet. As a low level character, just using a weakness spell and then using a different on target spell. Oh yeah, my stream is ending here. I gotta quit. So I want you to listen to this. Listen here.
Oh, there was a point where I broke down and started using macros to level. There was a similar point where I decided to use a certain glitches.
We're at 2x speed. We're going back to normal speed. Sorry.
Well, the scroll duplication glitch is a fairly bizarre glitch where if the player selects a scroll they have multiples of and then drops a different item, it will duplicate those items to the number of scrolls the player has. So if I select a 100 stack of scrolls and drop 10 potions, I will get 10 stacks of 10 potions totaling 100. I don't really understand the technical how of this glitch. I'm sure someone will explain it and then post a link to an explanation I could have spent several hours looking for. Obviously, this falls outside the bounds of an immersive playthrough. The difference between this and using the console is just time saving finding the reference ID. Look, I tried to play the game without cheating, for integrity and all that, and it lasted about 15 hours. If the player decides against sigil stones for any valid reason, they still have the option of standard enchanting, although even Grand Souls will result in a weaker effect value. Now, you might think that Grand Souls would be the most difficult to come by.
Okay, so you heard that. His reward for min-maxing is he got 15 hours to the game before he got to a point where the game was too tedious, too boring. His character was too weak because he couldn't kill anything that he had to cheat. And like he said, the only difference between that and console commands is it saved him time. He had decided, I've lost. This game was too difficult for me. It is time for me to cheat. So his idea of min-maxing is at every stage of the game, he's weaker than any of my characters because he's not utilizing mechanics like Fortify Skill, like Fortify Fatigue, or weakness spells. He's just not playing the game correctly. That's all there is to it. And I know it's a single-player game, and you can say, oh, well, there's not a way to correctly play a single-player game. But if you're having a terrible time playing a video game because it's too difficult, you should spend more time trying to learn about the systems in the game to make a stronger character. Or quit. But this idea that you're going to make this 12-hour video about it and tell everyone else that the game is too difficult and that you have to cheat, that you have to mess with the difficulty, and that you have to min-max whatever the hell this is, it's just bullshit. He's being dishonest. It's a shitty video. Well, let's let him sum up his stupid thoughts. Here we go.
You'll forget to use a trainer here, you'll accept a dirty level there. At some point, you'll probably break down in macro a couple levels or just turn the difficulty slider down to try and experience the world that we haven't even really gotten to yet. And you'll realize you did all this to get a character that can kind of handle enemies at medium difficulty without making you want to gouge your eyes out and check yourself in at a mental hospital. You'll look to the sky and wonder how
Or, instead of being a snarky idiot, you just use major skills. That's it. Use your major skills. You dumbass. Use your major skills. Okay, let's go back to the spreadsheet for a little bit. There's one thing, when we talked about dirty levels, a lot of people say that you can, that there's a problem with wasting skill points. So for example, if I am a Nord, I'm playing Grandpa, I start with 30 willpower. And if I accidentally raise Alteration, Restoration, or Destruction early, I might not be able to get it to 100 or get +5s every level. Well, the fact is, if you, let's say we pick one of those as a major, A Nord gets +5 to restoration, so that's the only racial bonus. You start with 40 skills because you'll have, let's say restoration's your major there. We have restoration. That's going to be +5 from being a Nord, and as a major, that's 30. And both alteration and destruction are going to start at 5. That's where I get this 40. I'm just adding them all up. So we have a total available skill ups of 260. So that means to get +5 every level, you need 10 skill ups. So that's 140 that you require to get those 14 +5s to get to 100. Well, that leaves 120 skills, 120 level ups that you can waste. So you're not afraid of leveling alteration if you're not going to pick willpower for that level. Both PatricianTV, EFI and the UESP all talk about this as like wasting skill ups. It's never something you have to worry about. Now, don't power level anything ever. You don't want to gain 50 alteration in one level because that is too much waste. You shouldn't power level in Oblivion. That is something that, yes, this leveling system prevents you from power leveling without losing out on attributes. But you're not afraid of using feather spells because your alteration might go up a little bit during your level. Don't think of it like that. Use your skills that you want to use. Use your skills that make your character powerful, that make the game fun for you. Use destruction, use alteration. Don't worry about them going up, even if you're not going to choose willpower. It's fine. It's not going to break your character. I think that's enough for point 1 for me talking about the leveling system. I feel like it's time to move on to point 2. That's a baby monitor going off. I'm going to turn that off. We are going to, I think I've really shown efficiently leveling is not the way to min-max in this game. None of my characters do that. They're all very powerful. I've never used dupe glitches. I've never cheated. I never feel like I need to do anything. Really, if you want to see a powerful character, you can watch this. This is a level 39 Breton, and I'm playing on, I believe, or this is normal difficulty. But this character can do Oblivion Gates on maximum difficulty just fine. On normal difficulty, as long as I can hit him with my Paralyze, I can one-shot him. I'm being careful not to kill my allies. But this is an absurdly powerful character. So didn't min-max with that one either. You don't have to. I just didn't stream on that one, so I can't prove it. All right, point number 2, doing maximum damage. PatricianTV talks a lot about not using poisons, not using enchantments, not using power attacks, because you want to make sure you're getting the most experience for each hit. It takes 20,000 hits to level up your blade. You need to get the most experience. Super dumb. Doing the most damage you want, doing the most damage you can is by far the most fun way to play the game. That's how I played all of my characters. I never intentionally did minimum damage. The very first Bosmer I ever fought on my Nord, I one-shot him. In fact, I should probably pull up that video. Okay, here it is. Listen up. Archer go. Archers are going to be the bane of my existence until I get Feather. Oh, he's a Wood Elf, though. He'll be slow. Easy. One shot. So, because I one-shot that Bosmer right there, is that going to make my character weaker late in the game? No. I'm going to get more loot. Doing more damage just makes me get to the next enemy faster. I swear, watch his 12-hour video. He will talk about this multiple times. He also gets into a section about power attacks, and he really highlights that he doesn't understand what power attacks are. I think that is this one.
Take that in. F power attack fatigue penalty is a variable that is multiplied against the normal fatigue cost formula when you power attack.
So he can look up, he can go to the construction set and see, he can find the numbers. He knows this stuff, which is crazy to me. Listen up.
It will always cost 5 times the fatigue to do a power attack that does 2.5 times the damage. Now let's think here. Instead of power attacking, we could do 5 attacks, which would be 5 times the damage, or twice the damage of the power attack at the same cost. Power attacks then fill the niche of being finishing moves, or as you level up, special moves.
Okay, no, he doesn't even get what a power attack is. A power attack, because it does bonus damage, has a much higher chance to stagger. It also has a much lower chance to stagger yourself. If you ever see an enemy blocking, same thing with Skyrim. This is so common in video games. If an enemy's holding up a shield and you just do a normal light attack, they deflect you. You get staggered, and then they get to hit you. So you wasted that 1 times fatigue. You did almost no damage. You're just wasting your time. You power attack to break a block because doing 2.5 times damage gives you a much higher chance to break the block. It also, Restore Fatigue is one of the cheapest, most common potions. If you go to potion effects, it's all the food, cheese, onions, whatever. very, very free. You can always have full fatigue if you want and spam power attacks. And even at zero fatigue makes you do half damage. I could pull out my weapon damage spreadsheet. You know, why don't we do that? We'll go to my spreadsheets. We'll go to Oblivion, weapon damage. It's taking longer than I want it to take. Oblivion weapon damage. Here we go. So let's zoom in. Say I have whatever, sure. Final damage is 10. If I have base weapon damage is 16, 70 strength, 60 blade. At 0, you do half damage, so it's 5. Fact is, though, you can find ways to keep your fatigue at 100%. And you want to get your blade to 100 as soon as possible, even if that is through enchants. 100 strength comes pretty early. 17 damage might have a very high chance of being deflected, where 42 damage has a much higher chance to stagger your opponent. It is that damage from a single hit. If you've ever played Oblivion, you know you will very often trade blows with NPCs. There are some enemies that don't get staggered very often, so it's not really worth it to power attack them because, yes, it is. Light attack also has uses too. You don't just only power attack in this game. They both are worthwhile. They both have a place to use them. If your enemy is blocking, power attack. If you want to trade blows, power attack. If they're already staggered, yep, just get those quick swings in. Get your weapon enchant to dish out a bunch of damage. It'll be nice. If you're low on fatigue, maybe you want to back off for a little bit or drink a restore fatigue potion. There's different ways for the combat to work. Okay, next we're going to talk about absorb health. Okay, I skipped one thing. I want to go back and make sure we talk about this. So here he says
that skills level based on how often you use them. So the old death spell I used in Morrowind is now a bad idea because to train your destruction skill, it's better to cast a 3-point damage effect 100 times in combat than a 300-point damage effect once. Not that you would be able to...
So basically what he's saying is, this point here, he thinks doing maximum damage is a waste of time. He also talks about the same thing later in the video. I didn't write down this timestamp. I can't remember. I'm sick of scrolling through his video. He yaps so much, and he talks about nothing. And he talks about Morrowind for like 2/3 of the video. It's like, this is an Oblivion retrospective. Can you stop talking about Morrowind? He thinks you should not use poisons, enchants, or power attacks, or sneak attacks because they cause you to gain less experience. So I'm not just like making that point up. He talks about it repeatedly. Now, absorb health, I'm sick of showing his video. If you want to go 3 hours, it's somewhere around 3 hours and 41 minutes. He talks about how absorb health is very powerful because, it's got a base cost of 16, where fire has a base cost of, like 7.6, and restore health has a base cost of 10. So you're like, oh, well, fire and restore health has a cost of 17.6. Absorb health has a base cost of 16. It's cheaper than the other two combined. However, he thinks the only downside to it is that it's part of the restoration school, which is really tedious to level. But it's so idiotic, it's insane that I even have to say it. If you've ever played the game and tried to use absorb health, 1, it doesn't work at range. If they're too far away, it doesn't work. 2, if you don't need to heal, if you're at full health, you're wasting. This costs almost 9 more base cost. It costs more than double just doing fire damage. So if you don't need the heal, you have a huge waste. Now let's say you are hurt. Yes, it's a little more effective. However, it's not improved by weakness to element spells, which have a base cost of 0.1. Meaning if you want to do a weakness to fire 100, well, 100 magnitude has a cost of 363 because it's equal to 100 to the power of 1.28. So that number right there, that is 100 magnitude any spell. So if I wanted to find the base cost to do 100% weakness to fire for 7 seconds, I would say it's equal to 0.1 divided by 10 times this magnitude times the duration. So we'll say 7 seconds. So it costs 25 at skill level 33. That is a novice level spell. A novice level destruction spell. To double your fire damage for 7 seconds. You could add weakness to magic to it. Now that requires 50 destruction and it has a base cost of 2.5, so it's a lot more. But it's only 2.5 times more. you can still do 100% weakness to magic. Weakness to magic will also improve absorb health. However, weakness to magic and fire combined will quadruple your fire damage. So if you're able to do weakness to magic, you should be using it with weakness to fire or weakness to shock to do 4 times damage. That is one way to make your enchants or your other spells do insane damage. Where absorb health just costs too much. It's not really worth it. Now, it does have some uses. I sometimes have an off weapon that I use it on, and every now and then I like to do it because it's not a terrible skill or spell, but the way he talks about it in his video is just ridiculous. I had to have a little segment on it because it just annoyed the shit out of me. It's super stupid. Everything he talks about, everything is wrong. He talks about fortify skill. This is at like 3 hours and 44 minutes. He thinks you can't get it from anywhere in the game. You can get it from a Doomstone. You just go to a Doomstone. Any of the Doomstones. Watch my Jonestone video. Watch my Magic Stone video that you should use them. You can get Fortify skill very quickly and very easily in this game. It's also super cool that the stones exist. That's what makes the open world more interesting in Oblivion, because you go out and you explore and you find these stones. Okay, next we really got to talk about the part where he actually has fun in his video. Let's watch it together. I think it's right here.
The only time I enjoyed doing an Oblivion Gate was when I popped a new Doom song in the background and pretended I was a modern Pelennor Whitestrake. What you don't seem to understand is, Nirn isn't your world to conquer.
Okay, and when you use enchants, he's using a weakness spell on touch there. You see him wrecking everything. When you use poisons, when you use things to make a powerful character, you saw it, he was soul trapping. That's part of his damage. It was so easy for him to just wreck those things. You do feel like Omni-Man. It feels awesome to become a badass in this game. It's great. I love that sense of progression, that sense of, yep, I'm the Doom guy. I'm Pelennor Whitestrake. I'm here to fuck everyone's day. It's a great feeling. That's why Oblivion Gates don't suck. Obviously, after you have 500 hours in the game like me, after a while, yes, it does get boring. But, you know, I really don't want to go to 344 and hear him talk about... He's talking about spell tomes here.
For you to start encountering them. When you use the tome, it will often...
That's where he thinks the only place you can get Fortify skill. However, if you watch my video here about the Jonestone, you only need 10 Renown to get the Jonestone, and that gets you Fortify skill. And in this whole video, I talk about how good Fortify Destruction is, because at 96 skill, your spells cost way less. And so if I wanted to do 20 fire damage for 3 seconds, which is a total of 60 fire damage, it would cost only 26 mana, even 40 on target. You combine that with a nearly free... because with this multiplier, that weakness to fire spell would be nearly free. You can do insane damage. I don't know if you know this, but 60 times 2 is 120. And you can add that on top of what you're already doing when you're going in there with your melee damage, with your power attacks. You can be hitting for 50, with your fire damage and chance on your power attacks. Combine weakness to magic. This with weakness to magic and weakness to fire would be quadrupled. That's 240 in one touch spell. So there are ways to do high damage. Weakness is a great thing to use if you want to do high damage. Powerful enchants are great. I talk about a lot of these things in all my videos, so I don't need to I'm not going to rehash all of them. The last thing that I wanted to talk about really quick, he thinks Unlimited Trainers made Morrowind way better. I can't remember. I'm not going back to his video to show you that. I fully disagree, big time. I think Unlimited Trainers caused Morrowind, and I talk about this in my Why Oblivion's Better Than Morrowind, you know, in my clickbait title there. I think that was a very big downside of Morrowind. It was a great change, because what happens in Morrowind is you just go get gold. And after you have gold, you can become absurdly powerful. Like, you beat the game. And any path you take, you become ridiculously broken. The game is just too easy in that way. And he clearly thinks that's a problem with Oblivion, that it's not like that. That you can't just pick up a weapon, train it up, and then become Doom Guy. You actually have to take effort, put effort into building your character and being useful. I I don't know. Obviously, it's just this is an opinion, it's perspective. So some of these are things he just objectively gets wrong. Where this one is more an opinion. I think the trainers in Morrowind are a massive downside to the game, and it was a very, 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 very good change for Oblivion to limit to 5 per level. I think it's a much better change. Now, you can watch some of my other videos if you want, because I don't think Oblivion is perfect. It's obviously not, and neither is a leveling system, neither is a scaling system. But I do think it is one of the best leveling systems in all of gaming. And I'm going to talk about that more in other videos, because I'm never going to stop talking about Oblivion. But I think that's all I got. I'm not. Maybe someday I'll watch the next 6 hours. I got to this part at like 6 hours and what was it? I put it on a timestamp, and he started talking about like Christian stuff, and I was like, man, I just really don't want to listen to this guy anymore. I think I'm giving him money to. I mean, he's got 5 million views, so it's not like I'm doing anything for him. But yeah, I think I'm done watching him. Maybe I'll finish up the second half down the road. But thanks for watching.